You've probably heard of black rhinos and white rhinos your whole life, but what really, truly sets them apart? Well, I'll tell you this much. The answer has nothing to do with their color. Not even close. The real difference is, well, it's fascinating, and it goes all the way down to the wiring of their brains.
Okay, so let's just get the most obvious question out of the way first. The one that's literally right there in the name. Are black rhinos actually black?
And the answer is a big, resounding nope. They are both gray. Seriously, their names are a total misdirection, which kind of makes you wonder, right? Where on earth did those names come from?
Well, our first mystery gets solved right here. It turns out the name white rhino is basically a big misunderstanding, a linguistic fumble. Early Afrikaans speakers in southern Africa used the word wide, that's W-I-J-D, which means wide, to describe the rhino's super wide mouth. English speakers just misheard it as white and, well, the name stuck. And black? That was probably just picked as an easy opposite. But that little slip-up about the wide mouth, that's actually our first major clue.
Yeah, because this whole thing is about so much more than color. To really get it, we need to look at how these incredible animals are built, how they live, and especially what they eat.
And you know what? It all starts with the mouth. The white rhino is a grazer. See that wide, flat lip? It's basically a perfect biological lawnmower, designed for mowing down huge amounts of grass. The black rhino, though, is a totally different story. It's a browser. It eats leaves and twigs off of bushes, so it evolved this amazing prehensile, or grasping, pointed lip that works, well, it works just like a delicate pair of tweezers.
And what's so cool is that this one fundamental difference in their diet, lawnmower versus tweezers, shapes everything else about them. I'm talking their size, their shape, even the way they hold their head.
This chart here just lays it all out perfectly. White rhinos are way bigger, and because their food is on the ground, their heads are almost always held low. That gives them a pretty flat back. Black rhinos, they're smaller, more agile, and they hold their heads up high to nibble on bushes, and that posture gives them that very distinct arched back. You can even see the difference in their ears. The white rhino's long tube-like ears act like little satellite dishes, soaking up sound while its head is down, since its eyesight isn't great.
So, okay, we've established these are two very, very different animals on the outside. But here's the real question. Does it go deeper? Does their internal hardware, their brains, also reflect these completely different ways of life?
To answer that, we have to go on a little journey right inside the skull, all thanks to some incredible modern science.
And here we are. I mean, look at this. These aren't models or drawings. These are images of the actual brains of black and white rhinos from a groundbreaking 2017 study. For the very first time, scientists were able to put them side by side and directly compare the neuroanatomy of these two magnificent species.
And they didn't stop there. They went even deeper, using powerful MRI scans, just like these. This technology let the researchers digitally slice through the brain, piece by piece, so they can measure the volume of every single internal structure with amazing precision. All of this just to figure out what really makes them tick.
So, after all that, what did they find? Well, the verdict was that, on the whole, the brains are pretty similar. They share the same basic mammalian blueprint, but, and this is the really important part, they found a few subtle, but incredibly telling differences that link directly back to everything we've seen on the outside.
And these differences really shine a spotlight on the black rhino. They reveal a brain that is perfectly, beautifully engineered for its much more complex life as a browser.
So let's break down what they found. For starters, the overall shape is different, which makes sense. It has to fit inside their different shaped skulls. But more importantly, some key brain regions weren't the same size. In the black rhino, the piriform lobe, that's the part that processes smells, appear to be larger. And so were the mammillary bodies, which are absolutely crucial for spatial memory. You can think of them as the rhino's internal map. And listen to this. The researchers themselves connected the dots perfectly. They wrote, it would be more important for the black rhinoceroses to have a better cognitive map of the location and timing of available food sources, and this may underlie the enlargement of the mammillary bodies. In other words, a black rhino has to remember where hundreds of different types of plants are and when they're good to eat, all across a huge varied landscape. A better internal map isn't a luxury. For them, it's a survival tool.
So, to put it as simply as possible, the black rhino evolved an upgraded internal GPS system to handle a much more complex menu. It's just a beautiful example of form following function, of an animal's brain adapting to meet the unique challenges of its world.
So we've gone from their lips to their posture, all the way into the lobes of their brains.
But why does all this detail really truly matter right now?
Look at this number, roughly 15,000. That's the estimated population of white rhinos left in the wild. And while they're still very much under threat, their official conservation status is near threatened.
Now look at this number, just about 3,000. That is how few black rhinos are left. It's just a tiny fraction of the white rhino population, and it puts them on the critically endangered list. The difference is it's absolutely stark. And that really puts all of this into perspective, doesn't it? These are not just two slightly different versions of the same animal. They are two completely distinct species that went their separate ways millions of years ago, each following its own unique evolutionary path, only to end up here, together, on the same cliff edge, facing the same devastating threats from poaching and habitat loss.
Which leaves us with this final, crucial question. Now that we know just how profoundly different they are, from their mouths all the way to their memories, how does that change the way we try to save them? Because maybe, just maybe, understanding and protecting what makes each one unique is the real key to ensuring they both have a future.